The Senate will come to order. Members, please stand. Today we're going to pause for a moment of silence and reflection. And after the silent prayer and reflection, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Secretary will take the roll.
Senators Abeler, Anderson B., Anderson P., Bach, Benson, Bigham, Carlson, Chamberlain, Champion, Clausen, Cohen, Swazinski, Dames, Dibble, Draheim, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Eakin, Franzen, Frenz, Gazelka, Goggin, Hall, Herr, Hayden, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebretson, Isaacson, Jasinski, Jensen, Johnson, Kent, Kiffmeyer, Klein, Coran, Lane, Lang, Latz, Limmer, Little, Marty, Matthews, Miller, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmic, Pappas, Pratt, Rarick, Ralph, Rest, Rosen, Rude, Senjum, Simonson, Sparks, Tomasoni, Torres Ray, Utke, Weber, Westrom, Uyghur, Wickland.
A quorum is present. Pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senators Anderson B., Carlson, Chamberlain, Clausen, Dames, Eaton, Eichhorn, Frentz, Hall, Isaacson, Klein, Lane, Lang, Latz, Little, Marty, Newman, Newton, Osmic, Pappas, Pratt, Rest, Rude, Senjum, Sparks, Torres Ray, and Wickland. Members, will begin on the Senate agenda today with the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following House file herewith transmitted, House File number 4502. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
There's no action required on that message. Moving to the fourth order of business, first reading of House bills. The House file listed in the agenda is given its first reading. Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that House File number 4502 be laid on the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Continuing to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. The secretary has 5 reports to be read.
Senator Rosen from the Committee on Finance, to which was re-referred Senate File Number 2898, a bill for an act relating to state government, reports the same back with the recommendation that the bill be amended as follows. Delete everything after the enacting clause and insert, and when so amended, the bill do pass. Senator Rosen from the Committee on Finance, to which was re-referred Senate File Number 4395, a bill for an act relating to agriculture, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows, and when so amended, the bill do pass. Senator Rosen from the Committee on Finance, to which was re-referred Senate File Number 4564, a bill for an act relating to local government aid, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows. Delete everything after the enacting clause and insert, and when so amended, the bill do pass. Senator Rosen from the Committee on Finance, to which was re-referred Senate File Number 2224, a bill for an act relating to motor vehicles, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows, and when so amended, the bill do pass. Senator Kiffmeyer from the Committee on State Government, Finance and Policy and Elections, to which was re-referred Senate File Number 3226, a bill for an act relating to motor vehicles, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill do pass. Pursuant to Joint Rule 2.03, the bill was re-referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration.
Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move the committee reports printed in the agenda and read by the Secretary be adopted with exception of the reports pertaining to Joint Rule 2.03.
On that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Again, we'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members voting in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Moving to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills, the Secretary will read the Senate file numbers.
Senate File Numbers 2898, 4395, 4564, and 2224.
These Senate files are given their second reading. The next order of business is the seventh order of business, second reading of House bills. The Secretary will read the House file numbers.
House File Number 3356.
Second reading. Moving to the eighth order of business, introduction and first reading of Senate bills. Listed in today's introduction calendar are Senate file numbers 4599 through 4606. These Senate files are given their first reading and referred as indicated. Moving to the ninth order of business, motions and resolutions. We have a couple authors' motions listed in the agenda. We'll take these authors' motions as one motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Again, we'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members voting in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Continuing under motions and resolutions, Senator Anderson. Senator Anderson. Senator Anderson.
Mr. President, thank you. I move that Senate File 3683, number 85 on general orders, be stricken and re-referred to the Committee on Finance. And Mr. President, I have spoken to the committee chair, and we're in agreement.
Discussion on the Anderson motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Again, we'll take a brief pause. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that House Files number 331, 1507, 2768, and 4044 be taken from the table and given a second reading.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Again, we will take a brief pause to gather the votes of members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. The Secretary will read the House file numbers.
House File numbers 331, 1507, 2768, and 4044.
These House files are given their second reading. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that House Files number 331, 1507, 2768, and 4044 be laid on the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Again, we'll take a brief pause. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills to be made for special orders for immediate consideration. Members, the sheet with the 4 bills is on your desk.
Members, the first bill up for consideration is number 86 on general orders, Senate File 3322, Senator Abeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I haven't sat in my own chair for about 2 months. And it's just a sign of the times. And I just thought I'd take this opportunity from my own desk to commend you and the staff for working under very unusual, extreme situations. And I think we're kind of getting it down to a science. So I appreciate their perseverance and all that. Mr. President, Senate File 3322 is the kind of work people hope that we do here, where we look at challenging problems and then work across the aisle, work across the Martin Luther King Drive with the other body, and actually get a product together. This product is 453 pages of work, ranging, and I'll go through it in a second. But it's truly a cooperative effort, and I'm really proud of it. And I think as the brief discussion unfolds about it, I think that the members and the public will be equally pleased about that. So technically, Mr. President, shall I offer the amendment and then my amendment to the amendment, and then we'll get the bill in order, then I can discuss it? Mr. President, I'll move the A50 amendment.
Senator Abeler offers the A50 amendment. Wow, quick one. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Abeler moves to amend Senate File number 3322 as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert. This is the A50 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Abeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this is the meat of the bill, and it's certainly, we've actually talked about, single bills and small pairings of bills and minibuses. Mr. President, this is truly an omnibus in the strict sense of the word. There's over 30 bills in it, and I'll describe the content. But just to get the bill in order, I would urge people to vote yes on this.
Discussion on the A50 amendment, Senator
Mr. President.
Abeler.
And I think I should, so that's Dennis, I should move the amendment to the amendment. I'd like to move the A51, which is a technical amendment, if that's in order now. And it involves reinstating citation and putting in a comma.
So the A51 amendment, Senator Abeler, just so I'm clear, is an amendment to the A50 amendment. Is that correct?
That's
Senator
correct,
Abeler?
and I believe that your
So
staff will. I just want to make sure I don't do it wrong. So.
Senator Abeler offers the A51 amendment to the A50 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment to the amendment.
Senator Abeler moves to amend the Abeler amendment to Senate File Number 3322 as follows, page 374, line 18, reinstate. This is the A51 amendment.
Okay, members, we're on the A51 amendment to the amendment. Senator Abeler has already described the amendment to the amendment. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails and the amendment to the amendment is adopted. Members, we're back on the A50 amendment as amended. Discussion on the A50 amendment, Senator Abeler.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks for that vote. The members of the Comma Society thank you greatly. So commas are very important. Mr. President, I think I will move the A50 amendment as amended and just get the bill in order, then I'll discuss it after that, if that's satisfactory to the members.
Discussion on the A50 amendment as amended. Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the author yield for a question?
Senator Abeler will yield. Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Abeler, during the course of construction of your particular bill, you had asked myself a few references regarding certain items that were of the Judiciary Committee's jurisdiction. And they were relatively minor, and we waived the opportunity for a committee hearing on those minor issues. Now we have a DE, delete everything amendment. Are there any other issues that are new to your amendment that would trigger a subject that would be found in the Judiciary Committee's jurisdiction?
Senator Abeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know that the commas were important to you, so the last amendment I think would be favorable to your committee. But just to be straightforward, and everything that is in this bill is things that you have discussed and are knowledgeable of. I do not believe there is anything in here that meets the definition of new or that would take this bill to judiciary, barring those ones that are already waived.
Mr. President.
Senator Limmer.
Mr. President, Senator Abeler, thank you for the answer. Appreciate that. But just as a side note, commas in the Judiciary Committee are sometimes very important.
All right, members, just so everyone's clear, we have the A50 amendment in front of us as amended. Is there any further discussion? See none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Members, we're back on Senate File 3322 as amended. Senator Abeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. And rather than read all 453 pages as amended to you, I'm just going to comment about a lot of the highlights. And there are a lot of highlights in here, Mr. President. There are over 30 bills in here representing the most bipartisan bicameral collection you could ask for, which is what happens when this all gets worked together. And I just want to, first before I forget, I want to, without naming any names, commend the House, the Senate staff, and the Council, which has been remarkable on this, and the CAs, and the House as well. This was a very collegial, very professional dialogue. Given what you hear coming out of Washington and even here sometimes, it's the kind of work people would hope that would get done on the matters of the import that this is about. This is the Human Services Policy Omnibus. There is, to my understanding, not one penny of money spent in here. There were some things to count that wound up spending some money, but it's merely about policy. But I'll tell you, policy drives money, and the protection of those who have the most needs is really important, and it's something that we all come here interested about, caring about, and this bill is going to make quite a bit of difference about that. So I'm just going to go through briefly some of the highlights, and then we'll hear from a few members, I think, about some thoughts they might have. This bill covers a bunch of child care. Senator Kiffmeyer will talk more about that. Those who are worried about the great issue of supervision of toddlers in daycares while they're going to the bathroom, it's been remedied. That's my one joke about this bill. It's amazing what we have to write a law about to fix, but that actually has been handled. There's a bunch of family daycare provisions, guardians and conservators. The Cultural and Ethnic Communities Council has been extended. We addressed family assets for independence. We addressed the first 3 years of life, birth to age 8, the comfort call training about people in foster care, a lot of child care stuff, work on group homes and what's known as the ARM policy bill, sexual violence protection, fetal alcohol, home care, children's mental health, state operated services, methods they would go about their business, substance use disorder, autism treatment, child protection, civil commitment. The Maltreatment of Minors Act is in here after 4 years of drifting around the process. And then finally, and maybe in terms of not my favorite, but it's something that's really very important, one of my favorites, is the language of, most of the language of Senate File 4200 is in here, which gives the commissioner and the governor the ability to extend the waivers 60 days past the end of the peacetime emergency, which I and a lot of us pray is soon. Also, what this would clarify, the governor suspended statutes in his original order 2012, and this would actually put that to right. We did it in a mutual agreement. It was an emergency, but now this is putting that to right. And so I could talk about this for a good long time, but I won't. And with that, I will stand for discussion.
Discussion on Senate File 3322 as amended. Senator Hayden.
Good. Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Abeler, for a very thoughtful bill and one of the examples in which we can work together. The work that you've done with the House and their ability to sign off on it is to be commended. I think that you've touched on most of the issues. I do want to highlight the CLEC, I think it's what it's called. It is the group that works with DHS to ensure that their policies are going to be looked at through an equity lens and that they would be fair, and that was scheduled to sunset this year, and I think we've extended it out with some work with Senator Kiffmeyer for another couple of years so that they can continue the great work that they have done. The only thing that I will say is that Senator Abeler, and I know that we worked together on this and we were unable to convince, speaking of the bill, Senator Limmer, to grab a bill out of his committee that has been sitting there for quite some time, Senate File 1217, which is a really pivotal bill for children that are being taken out of their home due to child protection issues. And members, you've heard me on this floor and in this committee talk about the disproportionality of African American kids being taken out, and we have a bill for that, but just hasn't been able to get through the process yet. But this bill here said that if that happened, that the parents and grandparents, or excuse me, the grandparents or some family member would be able to apply to become foster parents, and they may have a minor glitch in their background for years back that most of the time would disqualify them, but however, if they appealed that, they would be able to get their children. This was signed off on a broad group of people from the county attorneys, DHS, and other advocates, which is usually not you don't get them in alignment, and for some reason, I guess the docket was full in the Judiciary Committee, and we weren't able to see it through. So though I know Senator Limber was concerned on what got put in, I can assure him that this one didn't, and I wish that it would have. With that being said, Mr. President and Senator Abeler, I know that there are other members that have done a tremendous amount of work on this bill that would like to speak, so I'm going to yield to them, but once again want to thank Senator Abeler and Representative Moran and others in the minority on putting together a bill that we all agree upon, though I think that there are some things that I wish we could have got in. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion on the bill, Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I appreciate having this bill before us today, Senate File 3322. There was some controversy about it, but we've worked hard to work those issues through in a compromise area and fashion. But I would also mention that in this bill, for family child care providers, which are largely women-owned small businesses working out of their homes, who are requested by the governor to take care of critical sector workers to stay open, putting even their health at risk to help take care of nurses and other health care and first responder providers, law enforcement, to take care of their children and meet this very important need. So there's a small provision in this bill that has to do with lining up some of their training requirements, which may seem very small, but those are the small things that make this up. Without question, these family child care providers deserve a lot more help, but this is one part of this bill that can be used to help them, and so I will be supporting this bill and asking for a yes vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will give Senate File 3322 as amended its third reading.
Senate File 3322, a bill for an act relating to human services, modifying provisions relating to child care, foster care, etc.
Third reading. Final discussion on the bill. Senator Abeler.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I know it's customary for the chief author to speak last. I was hoping Senator Hoffman could be here to describe some of the disability parts. I just want to go spend a little time on that, and if he pops in, then I'd like to yield to him. But there's a lot of, in our committee, this is probably, if there's a headline on this bill, there are so many good provisions here to make the human services world be streamlined, more helpful for people with all sorts of challenges and needs. And Minnesota is extremely generous on this. We spend $18 billion, I think, a year on this sort of thing, and it's something to be really, really proud of, the way we care. But Minnesota has lagged a bit on the independence of people with disabilities in their living settings and their employment settings. And so beginning with January, we sat down with the ARC of Minnesota and got a vision for independence put together. And I want to, that's in here. So if you have a disability, especially if you're a young adult and you graduate from school, they really don't want to live in group homes. They don't want to go to a day services place. They want to get a job. They want a chance to have a life just like anybody else. And someday they'll have that opportunity. And because of the work in this bill, it's going to be possible. And so I'm just very, very excited about that. And I see Senator Hoffman has come back, and if he would like to offer a few words, that'd be great, and then I'll close up, Mr. President.
Senator Hoffman.
Mr. President, thank you. And members, Senator Abeler has talked about the bicameral, bipartisan work that was done in this bill, and absolutely, I mean, what we started off at the beginning of the year meeting with the House and having conversations about the positive outcomes for people with disabilities, and within this framework that we looked at, it makes no comparison. When we had to shut everything down, we still kept that kind of vision alive and going forward. And I want to thank Senator Abeler for his true leadership on this when it comes to supporting those. It's not lip service. I'm hearing a lot of lip service about people with disabilities, and yet we're struggling because we know there are day programs that are going to be shutting their doors due to the fact that we weren't able to take care of their needs. And it's really sad, but yet this moment, Mr. President, we have a great bill that puts person-centered right in statutory language. And it clearly defines that you're going to go through that person-centered approach first before you go at other options. So I'm honored to be part of this conversation, and this is really a defining moment for people with disabilities in Minnesota that goes and moves forward with what was started years ago back when the employment first initiatives were handled. So I want to once again thank Senator Abeler for his true work on this and the bipartisan, bicameral, truly setting, in the words of Jim Ramstad, when you set aside your political differences and look at what's pragmatic and common sense, that's health and human services and education, and we did that today. So this is a proud moment for Minnesota. Thank you, Mr. President.
Final discussion on the bill, Senator Abeler.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad Senator Hoffman could be here just for that. I'm a bit of a philosopher, and you have to have a big view, and that's what I bring. And with his experience, he brought a lot of the content, and with so many different groups, which I'm not even going to mention, and the help with Senator Hayden and others who helped us through this process. We have a product we can truly be proud of. And just my final remark is thank you to the other body. This process, I've been here a while, and this was probably one of the better processes of sorting things out. And they listened to our ideas, and we listened to theirs, and we accepted some of their original work where we didn't spend a lot of time, and they accepted our body of work on this Independence First, where they didn't spend much time. And so, members, when we're all gone from here, the substance of this independence, vision for independence for people with disabilities is going to long last all of us. And if this is the last bill I ever pass, I'll be happy about that, although I'd be sad about the last part. Anyway, so thank you, Mr. President and members, and I think this is a bill you can feel good about voting for, and appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 3322 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please make your way down to the chamber. While they're on their way down, members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please make your way down to the chamber to vote. While they're on their way down, members in room 237, please come to the chamber and vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. I will now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, I report Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Osmic votes aye.
Senator Osmic votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Senator Pratt votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Senator Rude votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Mr. President,
Senator Benson.
that concludes my report.
Do you have a vote for Senator Newman? He's on the phone right now.
Senator Newman, how do you vote? Mr. President,
Senator
I report that Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report that Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report that Senator Frentz votes aye.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Members, it's getting very hard to hear. We are under a roll call vote. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. Senator Kent, does that complete your votes? Okay. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, the next bill up for consideration is number 93 on general orders, Senate File 4481, Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I just want to personally thank each one of you for all you've done over these last 2 months to fight, to help our constituents, each one of our constituents in our small businesses. Each one of us hears on a daily basis the devastating news that our small businesses are incurring. Not one of us is immune from the economic struggles facing the communities we represent. I want to thank my co-author, Senator Pratt, Senator Housley, Senator Isaacson, and Senator Tomassoni. And although he's not a co-author, I do want to recognize the contributions that Senator Herr had in developing this bill as well. Members, much work has gone into this bill over the past month. It has been shaped, it's been discussed, it's been changed, it's been debated. And what we have in front of us today is a really strong bill that can provide critical help to our small businesses. The COVID crisis has had a catastrophic impact on our economy and brought devastation to our main streets to no fault of their own. These small businesses have experienced staggering losses due to the global pandemic and a government-ordered shutdown of services. Many of our small businesses are on the brink of insolvency. Our small businesses are the backbone of our state's economy. Each of the communities we represent have mom-and-pop Main Street businesses who are now having daily conversations they could never have imagined just 2 months ago, whether or not they can survive financially. Locking the doors and walking away from their dreams, their investment, their blood, sweat, and tears is a living nightmare and a real possibility. These small businesses provide the critical jobs and economic growth to our economy. And although this bill will not remove all the pain and suffering, it can give them hope and a lifeline. And that is so desperately needed right now to survive the moment. So, Mr. President, I'd like to offer the 810 delete all amendment.
Senator Anderson offers the A10 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Anderson P. moves to amend Senate File number 4481 as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert. This is the A10 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, the A10 amendment appropriates $57.6 million from the Coronavirus Relief Fund and the Federal Fund and transfers $2.4 million from the Small Business Guaranteed Loan Program to DEED for relief grants to small businesses. Of this appropriation, $30 million to the Minnesota Initiative Foundations to award and administer grants to businesses in Greater Minnesota, and $30 million to nonprofit corporation in Deeds Network to award and administer grants in the 7-county metropolitan area. No more than 4% of the funds granted may be used for administrative costs relating to providing the grants. Members, an eligible business to receive these grants is located in Minnesota and owned by a permanent resident of Minnesota, has a permanent physical location, is in good standing with the Secretary of State and the Department of Revenue, employs 50 or fewer full-time employees, and can demonstrate financial hardship as a result of COVID-19. Eligible businesses may receive grants of up to $10,000 to use for working capital to support payroll expenses, rent, mortgage payments, utility bills, and other similar expenses that occur in the regular course of business. Businesses may only receive one grant, and businesses that have previously received a loan through the Small Business Emergency Loan Program are not eligible for a grant. The Commissioner of Deed may develop criteria, forms, applications, and reporting requirements for use by the nonprofit entities. And grant recipients must be chosen by lottery after applications are collected over a period of no more than 10 calendar days. Of the total amount appropriated, a minimum of at least $18 million must be awarded to micro businesses, and those are defined as businesses that employ 6 or fewer full-time employees, and a minimum of at least $15 million must be awarded to minority business enterprises, businesses that are majority owned and operated by veterans, or businesses that are majority owned and operated by women. These amounts are not subject to the 50-50 Metro and Greater Minnesota split. The A10 also creates a mechanism to pay back the Minnesota 21st Century Fund for funds that were previously transferred to the Deed Small Business Emergency Loan Program. Funds from the next forecasted surplus will be transferred back to the Minnesota 21st Century Fund until $20 million has been transferred back into the fund. Any loan payments credited to the Minnesota 21st Century Fund will be transferred back to the general fund. Mr. President, that's the A10 amendment. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Discussion on the A10 amendment. Senator Champion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm wondering if the author would yield for a couple questions related to the amendment.
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Champion.
Senator Anderson is, as I look at the A10 amendment, it's my understanding that your initial bill, or at least one that was modified before, had more money for businesses that employ, for minority-owned businesses. Wasn't it more like $18 million, or has it always been $15 million?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Champion, actually the bill that passed unanimously by Finance last Friday actually had $9 million to minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and businesses owned and operated by women. So it actually increased from to 25% of the total bill.
Further discussion, Senator
Yes, Mr.
Champion.
President. Thank you. Will Senator Anderson continue to yield for questions?
Senator Anderson will continue to yield. Senator Champion.
Senator Anderson, I see that that there's an appropriation of $30 million that would be a grant to businesses in Greater Minnesota, and then another $30 million to serve businesses in the 7-county metropolitan area. Can you tell me where the $15 million is going to come from? Will that come from only the money from the grants in the metropolitan area, or will it also include money that is coming from Greater Minnesota? Because you have a cross section of people throughout, people of color and veterans throughout the state.
Yep.
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Champion, thank you for the question, because I would like to clarify that the $15 million for these businesses is just the floor. This is the minimum of these grants that could go to these businesses. So it could be in addition. And also, as I mentioned just briefly in my remarks, it is not allocated just 50-50. So $7.5 million goes to Greater Minnesota, $7.5 goes to the Metro. This can be divided up depending on, it just has to be a minimum of $15 million that go to minority-owned, veteran-owned, and women-owned businesses.
Mr.
Senator
President,
Champion.
If Senator Anderson will continue to yield for a question.
He will continue to yield. Senator Champion.
Senator Anderson, don't you think that would be sort of problematic, because then it would mean that the bulk of the resources would come from, or could come from, grants in the 7-county metropolitan area, and none come from Greater Minnesota, even though we know that there are people of color and women and veterans who also live in both the metropolitan area as well as Greater Minnesota? And then, as you answer that question, will you also tell me if this particular amendment is the result of an agreement between the House and the Senate, or is this just your proposal? And tell us the status of what's going on in the House.
Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senator Champion, we wanted to make sure with regards to the allocation of the $15 million for the minority and veteran and women-owned businesses, that isn't capped in a certain area in the Metro or Greater Minnesota. This is, again, if it allots a little bit more to Greater Minnesota or a little bit more to the 7-county metro area, so be it. It does go to a lottery system, so the applications that are developed by the Commissioner of Deed, those would go into play into the lottery, and those would be allocated. But again, a minimum across the state would be $15 million to those business entities. And with regards to your second question, Senator Champion, unfortunately, it's not an agreement with the governor and the House. This really came close, and we had a deadline of over the weekend. I do believe, and I hope, and I pray that we can get this done before the end of the session. I still believe there's life in this bill. Unfortunately, negotiations broke down, and the House and the governor walked away from the negotiations on Saturday. This was our best offer that we offered when negotiations broke down. Again, I do believe that there's life in this. I hope. I'm not going to give up hope until the end, until Sunday night. So I hope we can pass this today and continue those discussions.
Senator Champion.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your patience. I have one additional question for Senator Anderson, if you will yield.
Senator Champion.
Senator Anderson, is there any language or any carve-out or possibility of loans and or grants going to ethnic markets or global markets or anything of that nature?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Champion, malls of any sort would be eligible if they fit the eligibility requirements. So again, if they're under 50 full-time employees, if they are in good standing with the Secretary of State and Department of Revenue, if they have a physical structure, et cetera, in the bill, they would be eligible for these grants.
Further discussion on the bill. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson, a very important small business are family child care providers. These are largely women-owned who work out of their homes, small businesses with maybe one employee themselves or another. And so my question for you is, Senator Anderson, would they qualify for grants under the language of your bill? And if not, or if yes, anyway, just clarify either way. Thank you, Senator Anderson.
Senator Anderson will yield to that question. Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Kiffmeyer, thank you for the question. You and I had a conversation about this, and I realize, and I think all of us agree that this is an important business with regards to child care. Again, if they meet that eligibility, if they're located in Minnesota and owned by a permanent resident of Minnesota, they have a physical permanent location, they're in good standing with the Secretary of State and Department of Revenue, employ 50 or fewer full-time employees, and can demonstrate financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, they would be eligible.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you. And I appreciate that information very much, and that fits with what you've told me. I just wanted to make it official. But, Mr. President, I also want to speak in favor of this bill. probably the hardest thing for many of these small businesses is they are losing revenue, loss of revenue, have no revenue, as in regards to the executive orders and the emergency peacetime situation, and they understand that. They're all very supportive of their friends and neighbors, but they are friends and neighbors as well. And for them, they still have rent payments, they still have utilities, they have other ongoing expenses, and I know that that is what your bill is particularly addressed. I just want to say thank you so much, Senator Anderson, for drafting this bill, for using this money in a careful and thoughtful way. This really makes a difference to help them survive during this time as they care for their friends and their friends and neighbors care for them. And so that they would be able to be there for us when the time comes, and it will come, and Minnesota reopens, just like Wisconsin, Indiana, other Midwest states that Minnesota has an association with. And I think that we're looking forward to that, and this will be a very, very helpful transition time and a piece of legislation. So thank you, Senator Anderson. I really appreciate your work on this bill. Thank you.
Members, we're on the A10 amendment. Any further discussion on the amendment? Senator Dietzich?
Thank you, Mr. President. Would Senator Anderson yield for a question?
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Dietzich.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in the past, when we, this could have been in like Senate, could have been in 14 or 15, we did angel investment tax credits, and was reading on where those monies were distributed, and to my surprise found out that some of the money went to Florida. So had many conversations with the department on how the money that was allocated to help Minnesota businesses went out of state. And so I do see online, starting at 313 and at 315, you have that these grants should go to businesses that are located in the state of Minnesota and owned by a permanent resident of Minnesota and have a permanent physical location. In the case in the tax credit from a few years ago, I believe that person had a location here in Minnesota and was a Minnesota resident, but also had a place in Florida or a company in Florida, and so some of that money went to Florida. So, and some of this might be to deed or just to, notify deed that I really don't want to see some of this money going to other states. And so on 316, is that have a permanent physical location, is that in Minnesota?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Dietzich, yes, that is accurate, and I fully agree with you. With regards to the additional, let's see, line 3.15, permanent resident of Minnesotan, can't verify that they wouldn't have a home in a different state or potentially, a cabin in Wisconsin and such, but it'd be a permanent resident of Minnesota, and the physical structure would be in Minnesota.
Senator Dietzich.
Thank you. I think that helps clarify for the record for deed going forward. And then if you look to line 319, it also says can demonstrate financial hardship as a result of COVID outbreak. And in other conversations that we've had, there's been discussions on how do you demonstrate that. So is this going to be a form that deed will set up so that businesses have to apply so they know what qualifies as some of those demonstrated as expenses? And so I believe that is a question. Would Senator Anderson yield?
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senator Dietzich, yes, that is accurate. Senator Dietzich, it's very important. We had many discussions, and again, the amount of discussions and work that this bill has gone through. We initially had some requirements. I think the initial loans that came out of deed for the COVID small business relief loans involved Executive Orders 2004, Executive Order 2008. We initially expanded that to include, I believe it was Executive Order 2009. Might be wrong on that. My numbers are starting to blur. But in our discussions, we wanted to open it up to those businesses that can demonstrate financial hardship due to the COVID crisis. And so the requirement that the commissioner step in and do the application and the verbiage is very important here. So hopefully that gives some comfort.
Senator Dietzich.
Thank you, Mr. President. That answers my questions.
Okay, next I have Senator Abeler, followed by Senator Herr. Senator Abeler.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I think this is really a good bill. I'm sorry we need it. I'm sorry the times have come on that this is something that is going to be a breath of fresh air for some of these folks. $60 million going statewide to so many different places in small amounts, not taken up by Ruth Chris Steakhouse and other professional sports teams. The people on the ground floor of Minnesota at so many places are just being so challenged. And I hope negotiations can be resumed. And, if I was going to just put a bug in Senator Anderson's ear, maybe even more than $60 million would be helpful. We have over $1 billion of COVID money, and not that money is free, but the places you want to put it are in these very places. And I just had an opportunity to stop and talk to one of these places this morning, and all they want to do is have a chance to open. And so if they get open, then they wouldn't really need as much of this, but they're desperate straits now. There's a little art studio, and some stories just warm your heart. They would be eligible for this, I think. But they are doing 70 online students with art classes for an hour a week for free, just to make a difference. And that's the kind of people that this sort of bill is going to help. And they just want some hope. And so at least maybe this will help them get to the next hurdle when finally, please, dear Governor, would you let these people have a chance to work? And so just to clarify, maybe if Senator Anderson will yield. So there's a small art studio.
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Abeler.
So there's a small art studio in Anoka, and they have maybe 2,000 feet. They maybe have 4 employees. They can't open now, but they would be one of the ones that could apply for this and maybe get $10,000. Is that pretty much the bill?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President, Senator Abeler, that's correct. Again, any business that has a permanent structure, they're a Minnesota resident, they have proven financial hardship, they would be eligible for the $10,000 grant.
Thank you, and
Senator Abeler.
And if Senator Anderson would yield again, I
continue to yield. Senator Abeler.
I had the privilege to run for statewide office one time, which is an experience everybody should get to have, just to broaden their horizon and learn how great Minnesota is. The people didn't buy what I was selling, but I had an opportunity to meet all kinds of interesting people. I had a chance to go to the Carnell Mall in Minneapolis and spent a good deal of time there, and I was really impressed with the industry and the excitement that people have in these tiny little shops. And then I've been to the Mall America, and the shops aren't as tiny, and they're much more fancy. So, Senator Anderson, if one of those tenants at Carnell Mall or the Mall America or my little, needs some paint job strip mall in Anoka were going to apply, would they also be eligible for this?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Abeler, so the requirement, again, I don't believe the Mall of America would be eligible for this. I believe they have far surpassing 50 full-time employees or less. I might be wrong with that. But that would be the requirement. If a business has 50 or less full-time employees and they can prove the financial hardship and meet the other eligibility, those malls would be included in this bill.
Senator Abeler.
And so, Mr. President, but I think the shops could be available. So that's what I think I was asking, and not about the mall itself. And so, just for the record, the good senator is nodding. So I don't want to make him yield for that question. And I think that's really amazing. And so actually, of these small shops at the Carnell Mall or the Village down the road here, every penny could go to those places if they would qualify. And so I think that's really nice. There's no limit on how many people that can qualify, but they would just have to jump in on that, which really makes me happy. And then just one thing else, and I don't know if it's fair to compare us to Wisconsin, and I usually don't like those comparisons whatsoever, but I read in the paper today that they're opening all retail stores in Wisconsin, and we're not yet. And so the thought that the Packers would beat Minnesota in this way, Mr. President, can I say that on the floor, is just really sad. And I know that Governor Evers and our governor are on talking terms. And so maybe if they could chat about how that's working out there, we can get on to the real Packer-Vikings bets, which I understand is the opening game of the season, and be on about getting Minnesota working. So thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Anderson and then Senator Herr. Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Abeler. Yes, absolutely. The tenants, you think of the tenants of different strip malls and malls, absolutely are eligible. This is what they're for. You think of the main streets, and again, that may look very differently in all 67 of our Senate districts, but each of us, I believe, have a real crisis when it comes to these small businesses in our area. You think of the hair salons, you think of the bars and restaurants, you think of the resorts, you think of, just go down the list and think of all the small businesses that are impacted. The one thing that makes me a little sick in all this is that we can't come to the aid of all of them. There are a lot just struggling. And so, again, we're trying to do the most good for the most people. We're going to fall short of the demand, and that, again, hurts me. But we can help a lot of businesses. We can help thousands of small businesses here in Minnesota. And so that's it, Mr. President.
Further discussion on the bill, Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I was going to comment on Senator Herr's amendment, but I do have just a quick question for Senator Anderson, if he'd yield.
Senator Anderson will yield, and Senator Hayden, the reason I called a new Senator Herr had pointed to, so that's why I.
No, that's
so
okay.
You didn't see that.
I'm just looking at you.
I didn't want to see any confusion. You're following the rules.
I want to make sure
You're
I
doing a
address
great
the
job.
president with this.
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson, I haven't followed this as closely as some of my other colleagues, but I did have a question, and it was it came to me from Senator Abeler talking about the Carmel Mall, which is in my district, and so I thank him for that, and do remember when he was campaigning in my district there. I thought it was peculiar, but I was glad to see him. But that being said, Mr. President and Senator Anderson, we have a setup of malls inside of my district and other districts. Senator Herr's, in particular, the Midtown Global Market has maybe 45 separate businesses, but it is owned by a nonprofit that the businesses are independent, but they're also supported in many different ways, backroom functions and professional tools by the actual nonprofit organization. So to get to that point, Mr. President, Senator Anderson, would the nonprofit that owns the physical space and does the consulting and backroom operations for or in assistance with the businesses, would they be eligible?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Hayden, if it is a small business, it would be eligible. Now, with regards to the corporation standing and the different legal standards, if it's a business in good standing with the Secretary of State, good standing of the Department of Revenue, they would be eligible for this grant.
Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I may have more questions later, but I'm just trying to walk my way through this process.
Senator Herr, you ready? Senator Herr. Let's make sure your microphone is on here, Senator Herr. There we go. Try that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Herr.
Loud and clear? Okay. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Anderson, Senator Anderson, for bringing this bill about. And I appreciate you having conversation with me to kind of tailor this bill to be as inclusive as possible. Although we couldn't quite get to the finish line, or couldn't quite get to the bar of what I was hoping for. And I agree with you. I appreciate you mentioned the word prayers and the word hope, and I agree with you. I think that's something that you and I have in common. Being a state senator here, I live on the 3P principle that not the Paycheck Protection Program, but the 3P, politics, policy, and prayers. I do believe that if the politics is about people, and we need policy to govern, and when policy fail, we'll count on prayers. And I'm with you on the prayers that we will have an inclusive bill that have everything in it. And I want to help you bring this bill, your bill, closer to get the support of the House. as Senator Abeler just already mentioned about the Camel Mall, in my district, there's the Hmong Village, and also just about less than a mile here, there's Hmong Town Market. Those are ethnic culture mall. And so I have an amendment here to your amendment, Amendment A53.
Senator Herr offers the A53 amendment. The Secretary will report the A53 amendment.
Senator Herr moves to amend the Anderson P. amendment to Senate File Number 4481 as follows, page 3, line 25, delete. This is the A53 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Herr.
Yes, Mr. President, the amendment will carve out $5 million in grants, with 2.5 going to the greater Minnesota and 2.5 to the Summit County Metro that will provide support for retail space that has strong ethnic culture orientation as the mall that Senator Abeler just mentioned and the few that I mentioned. And this, across our state, we have ethnic mall like this across our state. We have some in Duluth, and we have some in Rochester, we have some in Southwest Minnesota. So this will benefit us all, not in particular district like mine or particular district in Hennepin County, but it will benefit all of us. And these are micro business, mom and pop businesses that live from one paycheck to another. I would say maybe one paycheck to another may not be the right description, but live from 1 week sale to another, or one monthly sale to another. And if their sale is not good, and if they're missing the sale, they will not be able to pay their rent. And the disparity already exists before the COVID-19. So with the COVID-19 impacting us, these businesses and these vendors are struggling the most. I cannot imagine how they survive. I myself are a new Americans and immigrants to this country, refugee to this country, and I myself have accomplished much, and I'm on a small threshold and live a frugal life, but I cannot imagine folks of the same background as mine, how they can be able to survive in America. And how they survive is through their small cash earning. Without the support, as the amendment I made here, and if we're not supporting them, chances are they're going to go back to our public assistance, which we will end up paying more in the long run. So I would like to ask Senator Anderson to support my amendment, and I'd like to ask my fellow senators to support the amendment as well. And I'd like to ask for roll call. Thank you.
A roll call has been requested. A roll call will be granted. Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Herr, thank you for this amendment. This is part of some late discussions. Very late last week, this proposal came up. Actually, your proposal or your amendment is double what the House was requesting. But I will tell you that this is the heartbreaking part of the COVID-19 crisis. We have segments all over our economy that are just being crushed. We have retailers, we have hospitality, we have associations that came out of the woodwork to ask for carve-outs. And it's hard to say no. It's really hard to say no. In this case, Senator Hayden just recently mentioned about the 47 tenants in one of his malls, if I got that right. They're all eligible for this small grant relief. The business itself, the mall entity, we need to verify with regards to their business standing with the Secretary of State and the Department of Revenue. They should be eligible for the $10,000 grant as well. The challenge with doing carve-outs to larger entities for a larger amount of money is that it takes away from our small businesses. We have about 150,000 small businesses in Minnesota. We have about 100,000 that are employed 20 full-time and under. With this bill alone, it would cover approximately 5,700 businesses. It's not enough. I'm here as the author to say it's not enough. I wish it was more. But with every being in my heart, I wish I could accept this amendment, Senator Herr. I really do. But in this case, they're eligible as a institution. The tenants are eligible for the grants. If each of them did, if they won the lottery, you're talking about 47 entities that would receive the grant at $10,000 apiece plus the building itself. That's a significant amount of money. So again, I would love to accept it, but unfortunately I cannot accept the amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment. Senator Champion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to rise in support of the A53 amendment because I do believe that sometimes it's important to take a surgical approach in order to make sure those who have traditionally been on the sidelines or disenfranchised, that we find ways by which to make sure that we can capitalize them or give them opportunities in order to even the playing field. The other thing I think is important that this bill as a whole fails to do, and I see that Senator Herr has been trying to help in so many ways, it is really analogous to the federal government when they did the CARES Act and there was money for small businesses, and because the definition was so vague that you had places like Harvard University that were eligible, the Lakers were eligible, Starbucks and other companies were eligible, and they ended up getting the money instead of those individuals who really need it. And on a local level, I see the definition as outlined here that I believe that Senator Disick was attempting to address, is that the way the language is written, that others will become available and could suck up the money and not and that money not be around for others who also need it. We're not trying to compare pain here. If you think about it, Mr. President, a small commercial property management company would be eligible. So if they came and said that we are having some difficulty, we meet the size requirements, they could go and say, we have experienced, not receiving rents. And then all of a sudden, that pool just keeps enlarging and getting larger and larger and larger. And so I hope that we would do the very thing that is important and would support the A53 amendment. And that's the problem with the overall bill, is because the House has been trying to make sure that we could take a surgical approach, as well as the governor, but the proposal B4 falls short of what would be best for all Minnesotans. Thank you so very much, Mr. President.
Further discussion on the amendment. Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And to comments by Senator Champion, it's hard, again, when we have, in this case, over $100,000 or 100,000 businesses that would be eligible. We've got, in this bill, as amended now, 5,700 businesses that would receive it. To go further surgical is going to be really tough. If you do a $5 million carve-out, that's 5,000, or that's 500 businesses that would lose out on the $10,000 loans. I do want to just make a point that the arrangement and the conversations with the governor and the House, this amount has never even materialized. So this was never even a part of the discussion. Second, we've got a really good network that DEED has put together in the metro area, in the 7-county metro area, to distribute, the nonprofits that distribute and work with these entities, work with these small businesses to educate, to help with applications, to help distribute the grants. And so that would be removing their job as well. So I stand for any questions.
Further discussion on the amendment. Senator Herr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Anderson, for your explanation. I also want to share with folks that these ethnic or cultural mall have over 1,000 small micro businesses. So in itself, with this carve-out, we will take care, at the very least 1,000. I can testify to that because Hmong Village is in my district. Hmong Village itself has 250 micro businesses, and so is Hmong Town Global Market, and so the aggregate of these culture mall will run up to 1,000, at least 1,000 micro businesses run by mom and pop. And I'm fearful that without the support, these markets will not come back when we return close to the normal that we expected. So the amendment I'm asking is for help. But I also want to ask this if Senator Anderson will yield.
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Her.
Senator Anderson, if 5 million is too large of a number, what would be an acceptable number for you?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Her, I was just pointing out the difference of negotiations and what we talked about with the House and Governor. My point goes back to what I said initially. I wish I could accept all of the different associations, all of the different groups that have come together and asked for special carve-outs. It is really hard. We had a long debate, I think over 3 hours, about opening up Minnesota yesterday. I have been a supporter of the governor. I have been one that have told people, I spent 8 years in a former administration. I know how hard these decisions are. There is a lot of talk of picking winners and losers right now. In this case, we have gone through great lengths, through great discussions, through great debate to come up with a proposal for a bill that makes it equal, makes it a possibility for 5,700 businesses to receive a $10,000 grant across the state of Minnesota, from Senate District 1 to Senate District 67, all 134 House districts. So in the end, again, my heart breaks for those cultural malls and the fact that some of these businesses won't be coming back. My heart breaks for the hospitality industry, the bars and restaurants, the 3 restaurants that I've heard from my district alone this week that likely aren't coming back. I heard a statistics last Friday, just before the Finance Committee, that a restaurant consultant said that they expect 50% of restaurants not coming back. No community, no industry is immune to this. And it's painful. And I don't think we are talking about this every day. I don't think we have the true sense of the magnitude that's going to hit in another 3, 6, 12 months. I wish we could protect different groups. I wish we could protect different industries. But in my opinion, Mr. President and Senator Her, again, I will work with you as best I can. Those businesses within the cultural malls will be eligible. The malls will be eligible. But in the end, we need to make this available to as many small businesses as absolutely possible.
Members were on the A53 amendment to the amendment. Senator Her.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Anderson. And as you say, we want to make it inclusive and make it available to all these vendors at the culture mall as possible. That's why the concept of the bill is presented, so that we are including them. If we just open the floodgate and say first come, first serve, and everybody rush, we already know that people are missing the opportunity. And I know that this bill, after you and I talk, we kind of take that first come, first serve set in place, but it still presents some challenges. The folks at Culture Mall have technical barriers, have resource barrier, and also have language barrier that I think we will need the management, the mall management itself, to help them in some degree. And so that's why I present this ask for the amendment.
Senator Anderson and then Senator Dietzich. Senator Anderson.
Mr. President and Senator Her, thank you for the comments. I do want to mention and just clarify that after the Commissioner of Deed develops the criteria, forms, applications, and reporting requirements for use by the nonprofit entities, and grant recipients must be chosen by lottery after applications are collected over a period of no more than 10 calendar days. This was done again after great conversation, great work together, actually, with the House, with the governor's office, in talking through the process so it wouldn't be a first come, first serve, the quickest to the gate to try and grant one of these grants. We want to make sure it is a fair process. So that's why this process is in place. And I have absolute confidence in those nonprofits that DEED has deemed eligible to produce these grants.
Senator Dietzich.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of Senator Herr's amendment. Some of these small businesses, and I do have one of the malls in my district. Carmel Mall is in Senator Hayden's. I have a few of these malls. I have actually been to other malls throughout the state. I know there are, we have a very diverse minority population that actually I think enhances the communities in our Main Street, and has helped revitalize Main Street in a lot of my community. It is at several different Main Streets I've been to across the state. It has helped revitalize those Main Streets. Both in St. Cloud has a very diverse minority population, Rochester, Worthington, Wilmer. This helps all of our state. Senator Anderson mentioned that DEED has, in their metro area, has set up a system where they can reach out, and they work with nonprofits to help some of these small businesses get these grants. But that might be available in the metro, but they still have a hard time. Like Senator Herr said, there are technical difficulties, there are technical barriers, there are language barriers, and it is still very hard to get these very, very small micro businesses. These people, and a lot of them are women, they work really hard. They work 12, 18 hours a day to make this business succeed. And like small businesses all over the state, they are having challenges today. And I think this is not a carve out for them. This is literally making sure they get in line, because as we've heard from the federal dollars onto other appropriation, just getting out there and getting in line is challenging for so many. Will Senator Anderson yield?
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Dietzich.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is the $60 million for this from the COVID fund or from the general fund?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President, Senator Dietzich, so in the bill, it's 57, let me get this right now. In the amended bill, yeah, no, I'm just getting the exact amount. So $57.6 million comes from the Coronavirus Relief Fund in the federal fund, and transfers $2.4 million from the Small Business Guarantee Loan Program. So there's no general fund dollars. The $2.4 million from the Small Business Guarantee Loan Program goes to the 4% of the funds granted so the nonprofits can administer these grants. The administration cannot be taken from the federal funds. That's why the $2.4 million from the Small Business Guarantee Loan Program is in there.
Senator Dietzich.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Anderson, for that clarification. And again, members, I would just urge support of this bill. These are communities throughout our state. They are Minnesotans. They have helped revitalize a lot of the mainstream and main street across our state. And so thank you, and I urge your support.
Further discussion on the A53 amendment to the amendment. Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Herr, for bringing the amendment. I will just add to the support of it. I think it is important, and I think historically, though I trust that the administration is doing the best that they can to reach out, but historically, these small businesses have not been able to get the resources that they need. They have not been able to get the mainstream dollars via banks and others. A senator mentioned the Paycheck Protection Act, Senator Champion, about just how that went, how much of a disaster that was if we just kind of put it out there for everybody to get to. And I appreciate you, Senator Anderson, saying that there'll be some sort of lottery, but that there's a process that leads for you to even get there, to even be in the lottery, that often these small businesses don't have the technical skills. In particular, I speak of groups like META and the Neighborhood Development Center just down the block. Are they explicitly there to help those businesses navigate the complex bureaucratic systems that we set up in order for these folks to get the money. And so, once again, I think that a bigger pot of money, but also wanted to just recognize these organizations who have now, some work that Senator Champion and I did a few years ago, was able to give those organizations some money to go around the state. So this work that Senator Disick is talking about in all of these other communities, a lot of that has been spurned because of money that we've given these intermediaries to help these small businesses, these budding entrepreneurs, the technical skills and the ability to be able to navigate what is a complex system. So, Senator Anderson, I know you know that you have been around here a long time in various capacities, and I would hope that this would be hopefully a friendly amendment, or as you go into negotiations, would really think through that, because historically, even though the best well-intentions that we set up, they often don't work for communities of color.
Members, any final discussion on the A53 amendment to the amendment? Seeing none, a roll call has been requested. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please make your way down to the chamber, as well as members in the President's office. Please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please make your way down to the chamber. Also members in room 237, and room 206. Room 206, please come to the chamber to vote.
The Leona people are supporting you. Yeah. They put out. Where's Kumaya?
Members in room 237, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 206. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I will now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, I report Senator Anderson B. votes no.
Senator Anderson B. votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Chamberlain votes no.
Senator Chamberlain votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes no.
Senator Dames votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Eichhorn votes no.
Senator Eichhorn votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Hall votes no.
Senator Hall votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes no.
Senator Lang votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Osmic votes no.
Senator Osmic votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Pratt votes no.
Senator Pratt votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Rude votes no.
Senator Rude votes no. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes no.
Senator Senjum votes no. Senator Benson.
That completes my report, Mr. President.
Senator Benson.
Mr. President, I report that Senator Newman votes no.
Senator Newman votes no. Senator Benson, does that complete your votes?
Mr. President, that completes my votes.
All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 29 ayes and 36 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendment to the amendment is not adopted. Members, we're back on the A10 amendment. Senator Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would Senator Anderson yield?
Senator Anderson will yield. Senator Bingham.
Senator Anderson, as you know, the federal PPP and the federal grants through the Small Business Association had a lot of gaps. One was sole proprietors and LLCs. Does this bill close any of those gaps? Are they eligible to apply for this money?
Senator Anderson.
Mr. President, Senator Bingham, again, we go back to the eligibility. It's got to be a business located in Minnesota and owned by a permanent resident. It has to be a permanent physical location. Is good standing with the Secretary of State and Department of Revenue, employs 50 or fewer full-time employees, can demonstrate financial hardship as a result of COVID-19. Those are the primary eligibility components. I myself am an S Corp, and I wouldn't be eligible for this. I don't have a storefront. I don't have a physical presence. I am a mobile consultant and wouldn't be eligible.
Any further discussions on the A10 amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the A10 amendment say aye. Opposed say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Members in the chamber, if you are an aye vote, please stand. I'm a yes. May be seated. May be seated. The members in the chamber that are a no vote on the A10 amendment, please stand at your desk. You may be seated. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Members, we're back on Senate File 4481 as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will give Senate File 4481 as amended its third reading.
Senate File Number 4481, a bill for an act relating to economic development and state finances.
Third reading. Members, I have a list here starting with Senator Jasinski, and then Senator Tomassoni is on deck. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand here in favor of Senate File 4481. I want to thank Senator Anderson. Senator Anderson and I also had a bill, Senate File 4552, which actually was basically a carve-out, as Senator Anderson, as we've discussed here in this bill today, for hospitality. Hospitality, as you all know, has taken a huge hit. what this bill would have done would given replacement funds for perishable items in these businesses. It may be craft beer, it may be food, it may be steaks, it may be eggs that went bad because of the COVID shutdown. Again, this is a carve-out. So working with Senator Anderson, we came up with this, or he revised our bill and combined it into his bill. And what this will allow is several different businesses, which is great, from hair salons to bars to restaurants to gift shops to resorts to campgrounds that will qualify for this file in these funds, the $10,000 amount. So it's a huge thing. As I said, the bar industry has been devastated by what's going on, the salons, the resorts, gift shops in downtown America or downtown Minnesota across our state are suffering. A lot of times they don't qualify for other programs, a PPP or something like that. I talked to a restaurant owner in Wayzata who got the PPP funds, but now he has to spend it all by June 30th, and how can he spend it 75% on employees when he doesn't know if he's going to open or not? And when he does open, what's his business going to be? Is it going to be 35% of it was before or 40%? So some of these funds don't qualify good for restaurants and industry. So this bill will give a lot of money out to our small business owners, the hair salons that it's so tough to listen to these people and what they're going through. They don't qualify for a lot of things, so this bill will do that. It's a great bill. We need to do this. Our resorts that they have 5 months that they survive in Minnesota, and these 5 months are being condensed and condensed. And my only wish is this would be more money. And the other question is, how long are we still going to be closed? If this goes on until longer past June, we need a lot more money for this because more and more small business owners will not survive. I just got a text, about an hour ago from my brother who owns Grandpa Al's in Faribault, Minnesota, and he says, we need to discuss what's going to happen with our family bar because I don't think we can do it anymore. And there are so many more businesses like that across the state. In every town and every district in this state is suffering with this. These salon owners, it's one or two persons that own these salons and cannot let people in. They can do it safely, but at this point, we've not opened that up for them. So this bill, again, I wish it would be a lot more. I wish our time frame would be a lot shorter on when we're going to start to reopen these businesses. We have done some, but there's a lot out there that need to be opened and need to be opened soon. So I stand in support for Senate File 4481. I want to thank Senator Anderson for standing strong and no carve-outs because we need this across the board to everybody across the state of Minnesota who can qualify these on a first-come, first-served basis and can get money for their small businesses that they didn't qualify in another program or the other program didn't work for that. Again, thank you, Senator Anderson, and so please support Senate File 4481 for all our small towns across Minnesota.
Final discussion on the bill. I have Senator Tomassoni followed by Senator Champion. Senator Tomassoni.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Anderson, for presenting the bill. I support the bill also for all the reasons that Senator Jasinski just enumerated, but I also want to point out that there's a repayment of the 21st Century Minerals Fund provision in this bill, and I want to thank you, Senator Anderson, for recognizing that. For those of you who are not aware, or for those of you who might be watching and wondering what it is, the 21st Century Minerals Fund is a fund that was created in a separate account in the Treasury, and it allows the Commissioner of Deed to make loans or grants or equity investments to infrastructure in mineral, steel, or other industry processing, production, manufacturing, or technology that would enhance the economic diversification that is located within the taconite assistance area. And members, the reason we're talking about this is because the state of Minnesota can't print money. The state of Minnesota has to actually have money available in order to spend it. And when we created some of the COVID accounts at the beginning of this session, part of the issue was where are we going to get the money from the general fund to fund these accounts? And $20 million was actually taken from the 21st Century Minerals Fund to fund the accounts and to help people in small businesses. And while the people of the Iron Range don't mind doing their part, we do want to be paid back. And at this point in time, this is a provision in a bill that will set up repayment of the fund in the future. And hopefully we come out of this stronger and better because as many of us have always said, we're all in this together and we all need to make this work for everybody. And so I just want to thank Senator Anderson for including the 21st Century Mineral Fund repayment in this particular provision.
Final discussion, Senator Champion, followed by Senator Anderson. Senator Champion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for the conversation that has been held today on the floor. I am not going to support this bill today. I believe that it could be better, and I'm looking for it to be better. And when it's better, I will truly stand behind it. Here are my concerns, and not necessarily in this order. One, I think that we should have money carved out and designated for ethnic malls. That's something that I saw Senator Hur attempt to do today in order to improve this bill, and I think that would be great. I'd love to see more money included in the micro businesses. I know that there's money for minorities and women and veterans, and as you enlarge that pool, which you should, I think that we should have some additional support. I believe that this bill will be improved by continuing negotiations with the House and the governor. I think also that there's nothing in this bill to address the needs highlighted by Senator Disick, and also I asked a question about whether commercial property management companies would be able to, use this money. I believe that there's a number of small businesses across the great spectrum and across the great state of Minnesota that should be supported. And I think sometimes we need to take a surgical approach in order to make sure that we are narrowly tailoring opportunities for small businesses. And so I believe that this bill doesn't quite do it. And that's not to suggest that the author is not working hard. I just believe that we have to work just a little harder in order to make sure that this is done in order to make these grants available to others who really need them. So for those reasons, I'm not going to support the bill today, and I look forward to them continue to find some agreement, and we can then have an opportunity to vote again on an agreement that works for all. Thanks.
Final discussion on the bill, Senator Anderson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and members. Thanks for the conversation and the ability to just present this bill. It's critical. We are at a really, really important place in our time. And in just the last 2 months, we have had a crisis hit our small businesses that we've never seen before in our lifetime. We haven't seen a pandemic in 100 years. Small businesses are closing right in front of us in each of our districts. The governor has said, with regards to his emergency powers, that he wants to work with the legislature to find compromise. Members, go through this bill. Look at how many businesses this would help in each of your districts. This is an amazing attempt with the little resources we have. Again, I would love to do carve-outs for all sorts of different organizations, different entities, different groups, because they're all hurting. Everybody's hurting right now. There's nobody that's enjoying this. But we have to keep our vital small businesses, as many as we can, operating to survive through this. And this is an opportunity. You're thinking about, I'm thinking about $10,000 grants to over 5,700 small businesses across the state of Minnesota. That's critical aid to keep the doors from locking in each of our districts. And I know there's a handful in our district, in my district, that would just do anything to get this money, to give them a couple more days to get through until they can open fully. So members, I appreciate this. Again, I go back to hoping and praying that the governor and the House continue negotiations on this, that we can find a solution by the end of the session. Because I'll tell you, members, what's been talked about is if the governor does an executive order for these grants or loans, it wouldn't be $60 million. We're talking more like $40 million. Some of the conversations with the House had drastically different approaches. Didn't even include women-owned businesses. So, members, this is a good bill. This is a really good bill, and it's so needed. Let's throw a lifeline to our small businesses. It helps all our districts. We are all in this. We are all suffering. Let's help our small businesses. Thank you, Mr. President.
Final discussion on the bill, Senator Herr. Senator Herr, is your microphone on?
Okay. Thank
Senator
you.
Herr.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. President. I made a little bit faux pas here because being that my background is in technology, but I'm still couldn't figure out what the ups and downs here. And because mainly we are at the dire state, even expert of technology myself, couldn't even figure out this knob here. And although that's not related to this bill, but Mr. President, I appreciate this moment, and I know that Senator Anderson been working hard on this bill. So if all of us want to contribute to make this bill better, I want to voice my disappointment, and I don't know whether I'm going to vote yes or vote no until I vote in a few minutes here. But my disappointment is in terms of partisan politics, and also our two body here, because we are in a state of emergency, and I like to bring this bill closer to meet the House agreement. And so I felt that we're not meeting that resolution because the House has its own bill, the Senate has its own bill, and by the end, looks like we're just playing game to the people that we need to serve. And so, although I appreciate the hard work put into this, I just want to express my disappointment that we are failing people during our time of crisis or our peacetime emergency. And so I hope and pray as well, and I hope and pray that the governor will step in and make some change and help people during this dire time. Thank you very much.
Final discussion on the bill, Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I just wanted to mention something briefly in response to Senator Herr's comments. This has come a long way. I would say more than half have been concessions and discussions with the House. Much of their verbiage, including many of our discussions, Senator Herr, early on, we were able to get to 30% of the micro businesses. That didn't exist until recently. We were able to get to 25% of this bill for minority, veteran, and women-owned businesses. That wasn't in the bill just a few days ago. These are things that we've fought really hard for. I don't want to get into the House versus governor versus Senate, but this is a good bill for the state of Minnesota. It's not a bill for Senate District 44. It's not a bill for any specific region. It's for the small businesses of Minnesota. So, members, I urge you to support this so we can throw a lifeline to the small businesses of Minnesota. If the governor does an executive order, it won't look like this. I think it'll look different. And I hope that he has said, and I take him at his word, that he wants to work with the legislature to get things like this done. I again, ask for a green vote.
Final discussion on the bill, Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I'll keep my comments brief. I appreciate that we're all working together on this. This is a critical thing that we can do. I'm glad the governor and the House have been speaking about this. We will get this one done. This is a small way that we can help. And just think about all the small businesses that for some reason couldn't get the Paycheck Protection Program, couldn't get the EIDL loan, and we're going to find a way to help them out. So thank you, Senator Anderson, for all your work on this.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 4481 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please come to the chamber to vote. While they're on their way down, members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Room 303 and the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report no for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes no. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report no for Senator Torres-Ray.
Senator Torres-Ray votes no. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I will now call on Senator Gazelka to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Bruce Anderson votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Osmic votes aye.
Senator Osmic votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Senator Pratt votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Senator Rude votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 59 ayes and 7 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, the next bill up for consideration is number 72 on general orders, Senate File 3013, Senator Weber.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased to present to you today Senate File 3013, which is the Natural Gas Innovation Act. Basically, what this bill has done, it provides an opportunity for natural gas companies in Minnesota to participate in renewable energy for the state in an affordable and effective manner. Minnesota has long been a leader in that area as it relates to electricity, and in this particular situation, building on that tradition, the natural gas companies will be able to work with the agency to establish a regulatory process by which renewable energy resources and innovative technologies may be used in the natural gas industry. I want to thank CenterPoint Energy as they have been working religiously to accomplish and meet all the needs of the people that have come to them. And quite frankly, in that respect, they reached an agreement with the Department of Commerce on a couple more items. And in that respect, Mr. President, I would like to propose the A9 amendment at this point.
Senator Weber offers the A9 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Weber moves to amend Senate File number 3013 as follows, page 2, line 11, after of insert. This is the A9 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Weber.
Thank you, Mr. President. Basically what this amendment does, it clarifies exactly which expenses are recoverable for a gas utility, which they are allowed to do within the bill. And on the second page of the second amendment, actually identifies expected locations of certain environmental and economic benefits within the plan. And with that, Mr. President, I would stand for any questions.
Discussion on the A9 amendment. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members voting in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Members, we're on Senate File 3013 as amended. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Mr. President. Essentially what this bill does is that, as I mentioned earlier, allows a regulatory policy to support investor-owned natural gas utilities choosing to use renewable energy resources and innovative technologies. Basically, what happens to happen is that the natural gas company needs to develop an alternative resource plan, which, quite frankly, they look at being revolving around renewable natural gas. This would produce energy from organic materials such as landfill waste, wastewater, agricultural manure, food waste, agricultural or forest waste, renewable hydrogen gas, producing energy from water through electrolysis with renewable electricity such as solar. Energy efficiency avoids energy consumption in excess of the utility's existing conservation programs and innovative technologies designed to reduce greenhouse gases emissions and using technologies such as carbon capture. Basically, this program will allow the natural gas to develop these particular projects, and what they will actually be doing is capturing, in the case of the renewable natural gas, capturing monoxide and carbon monoxide and actually cleaning it up and putting it through a process by which it may be injected into the natural gas pipeline. The bill itself requires them to develop these potentials, the potential usage of this renewable natural gas for large-scale industrial and commercial uses, and it can be used in residential cases only if the residential customer chooses and elects to pay for the additional costs. Quite frankly, this bill has gotten the support of many groups throughout the state of Minnesota. I think that it provides a tremendous opportunity for the natural gas business to provide renewable options for business and for people in general. And quite frankly, Mr. President, I stand to receive questions on this bill, and if not, I encourage everyone to give a green vote.
Discussion on Senate File 3013 as amended. Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 3013, a bill for an act relating to energy, establishing the Natural Gas Innovation Act.
Third reading. Members, any final discussion on the bill? We're on final passage of Senate File 3013 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, Senator Simonson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to come down and say a few words in support of Senate File 3013 and appreciate the work that Senator Weber and many others have done to get this bill to this point. This is the type of bill that we can work on with bipartisan support, and I'm hopeful that we get this across the finish line this year. I want to give credit to the laborers union who has worked really hard to try to support this bill and get it in the shape where we can get it done. Members, this is the type of bill that we need to be doing more of. This is the one that moves the dial on our greenhouse gas emissions, brings us into closer compliance with our state goals, and I'm hopeful that as we go forward through the end of this session and through the coming sessions that we can continue to move that dial. But I just want to appreciate the work that was done on this bill and would encourage a green vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Any further discussion? Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 3013 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll.
Oh, yeah.
Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 303, please come down and vote. And while they're coming, members in the president's office, please come and vote. Members in room 323, please come down to the chamber. And then members in 237. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber and vote. I'll now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of members voting remotely. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report no for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes no. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report no for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes no. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report no for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes no. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report no for Senator Pappas. I report I report no for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes no. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres-Ray.
Senator Torres-Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I'll now call on Senator Kiffmeyer to report the votes of the members voting remotely. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Andrew Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Osmic votes aye.
Senator Osmic votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Senator Pratt votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Senator Rude votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. All members having voted who desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 62 ayes and 4 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Next item on special orders is item number 94 on general orders, Senate File 4563, Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate File 4563 is the Appropriations and Transfers to Federal Funds Source Modification Bill. And as we learned the last couple of weeks, that we are facing an extremely difficult financial situation in the months and years ahead for Minnesota, a $2.426 billion deficit. And there's no better time than now that we need to start spending responsibly and make wise budgeting decisions. Minnesota received a total of $2.186 billion from the federal government through the CARES Act. $317 million of that went directly to Hennepin and Ramsey County. And the allocation from the federal government that went directly to the state was $1.869 billion. And we've looked at this money and this process of how to get the money out in a three-step process. We received some guidance from the U.S. Treasury on how this money can be spent, and we've already passed a bill in the Senate creating legislative oversight and control over that fund. This bill, Senate File 4563, is the first step in trying to utilize the federal funds wisely and address the budget deficit we are facing. This bill changes the funding source for already appropriated expenditures related to COVID-19 from the general fund to the Coronavirus Relief Fund, the CRF. The changes in funding sources in this bill have been thought through for each individual expenditure, ensuring each fits within the federal guidelines for spending these funds. So basically, we are going to end up with a conversion of approximately $333 million from the general fund that will be replaced by the CRF, the Coronavirus Relief Fund. And Mr. President, I do have an A6 amendment.
Senator Rosen offers the A6 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment. Senator Rosen moves to amend Senate File 4563 as follows. Page 1, delete Section 1. Page 2, this is Amendment A-6. To the A6 amendment, Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, it changes references to the coronavirus relief account in the federal fund to the coronavirus federal fund. For the bill, after the bill was drafted, MMB chose to create a separate fund for the CRF, and we've been updating references in drafted bills to accommodate this MMB decision. The second part of the amendment, the bill provides retroactive appropriations in the effective dates to allow money that has already been spent to be appropriately spent from the Coronavirus Relief Fund instead of the general fund. And thirdly, it creates a new section that directly appropriates money from the CRF, Coronavirus Relief Fund, to the Commissioner of Health for 2 separate transfers enacted earlier in the session. This change was necessary because the original language commingled federal and state money in a state fund. And this approach avoids the problem and makes the accountants very happy. But basically, we're talking about the $20 million of our first appropriation back on March 9th. That is also federal and state funds, and then the $50 million on March 16th that also uses federal and state dollars. And if you remember, back then, we also had another $150 million that went to hospitals, nursing homes, responders, but that does not have any state dollars attached to that. So that is the amendment, Mr. President.
Any discussion to the A6 amendment? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of adopting the A6 amendment signify by saying aye. Opposed, say no. We'll pause to collect votes from the alternate locations. Having received a sufficient number of votes, the A6 amendment is adopted. We're back on Senate File 4563 as amended. Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just to briefly go over some of the changes in the bill that I'd like to highlight is there is three expenditures that are deleted out of the bill that we had passed a long time ago to see if they are FEMA eligible. And one was the emergency service grants for $6.2 million. And one is the $200 million for the governor's COVID Minnesota fund. And out of that $200 million, $49 million of it for the corrections, which was $2.255 million. The $36 million for testing that went to the University of Minnesota and the Mayo, and the pork euthanasia dollars of $10.952 million are going to be taken from the COVID Minnesota fund to the general fund and be appropriated with the CRF, the Coronavirus Relief Fund. A little complicated there, but it's a good way of making sure that we do utilize the CARES Act appropriately. And the other appropriation that we think is FEMA eligible is the small business loan of $10 million. So with that, that's pretty much 4563. We think this is really a good first step in utilizing these federal funds, a logical step, and we ought to use these federal funds to take care of the expenditures the state has already made to address the COVID-19 pandemic. And this bill helps our bottom line. It takes this deficit seriously, and it utilizes the available federal funds responsibly. Again, we are converting $333 million from the general fund to the Coronavirus Relief Fund. With that, Mr. President and members, I stand for questions and ask for your support.
Further discussion to Senate File 4563. There being no amendments, the Secretary will give Senate File 4563 its third reading. Senate File 4563, a bill for an act relating to state finances. Third reading. We're on final discussion of the bill. Members, any discussion? Any final comments, Senator Rosen? All right, seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll on Senate File 4563. Members in the retiring room, please come vote. Members in room 303, please come down and vote. And while they're making their way down, members in the President's office, please come vote. Members in room 323, please make your way down to the chamber. And members in room 237, please come and vote. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber and vote. I'll now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting remotely. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Members, if we could keep our conversations down in the chamber in the middle of a vote. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I'll now call on Senator Kiffmeyer to report the votes of members voting remotely. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye.
Senator Eichhorn votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Osmic votes aye.
Senator Osmic votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Senator Pratt votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Senator Rude votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. All members having voted who desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. As an announcement of Senate interest on behalf of Senator Osmic, the Energy and Utilities Committee meets 15 minutes after the recess of session here via Zoom. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Benson.
Mr. President, members, we're going to recess probably well into the evening. No further votes are expected today. We are waiting for committee reports and messages from the House. Plan to start at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And with that, Mr. President, I move a recess to the call of the President.
Senator Benson moves for a recess to the call of the President. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, say no. The motion prevails and the Senate stands in recess.